Yuta, Yuki, and Tengen? All these three people have been stated as potentially people who could stop Kenjaku's plan. But the only person to stop Kenjaku is Sukuna himself. First, why is it Sukuna? Sukuna is evil incarnated, a person who cannot be controlled by anybody and has the most likelihood to be able to cause chaos that one not only Kenjaku can understand, but for the whole jujutsu society in general. With Gojo currently sealed, there seems to be nobody who can stop Sukuna, especially if he does get the last 5 fingers. And in terms of the actual narrative implications, with him being deemed as the strongest back in the toughest era being the Heian era, the likelihood of stopping Sukuna seems very unlikely. But the reason I think he will actually be the person to stop Kenjaku's plans is a new revelation that will become aware to him, and that is that Kenjaku made the vessel for Sukuna being Yuji to prevent Sukuna from coming out. Now, this is something that has been very intriguing to me, and the fact that Sukuna still to this day does not understand why Yuji can suppress him. So, with him getting that revelation, the person who he has said previously was the person he wanted to kill was Gojo, may shift, because imagine being spited by somebody who he has potentially made a deal with to come back for this culling game. Now this connects nicely with potentially him having a deal with Kenjaku because of 2 reasons. One, we see when Yuji goes into the culling game, he was already registered as a player, which indicates to us that they made some sort of binding vow for Sukuna to come back in this previous culling game. The second, and this is when we get to a reach, when you look at the cover art for the fingers, you see the similar type of curses faces that are similar to Kenjaku's domain, which means that Kenjaku could be the person who made the fingers in the first place and sealed Sukuna into different objects. Whether this was by force or whether it was in agreement, this gives us an indication, and maybe the agreement was, you come back for my culling game and I'll keep your power safe until you can be resurrected again. He would have spited him and would have tried to double cross him by not only bringing him back, but creating a vessel in which he can suppress Sukuna. And we go back to even in the Shibuya in 136, Kenjaku said that he made Yuji eat the fingers. Now we don't know currently how, but there could potentially be something of the will of Sukuna or the will of the curse fingers, which then attracts certain people and goes in the way that Kenjaku wanted. That is still a big plotline that we need to be explained, but I feel as if Sukuna knowing that information will dramatically shift his priorities, especially as someone who is very selfish and focused on himself. Moreover, like going back to the whole chaos argument, a lot of people theorize that Kenjaku is going to be killed by some of the sorcerers that I've mentioned, but if I'm honest, I've been on team Kenjaku is going to win and merger with Tengen, and I doubt any of those aforementioned sorcerers are actually going to be able to prevent Kenjaku and his merger. Moreover, I feel as if it is written in the stars, and to me personally, he is going to merge with Tengen. It's not a question of will it happen, I think it's 100% happen. And being able to reinstate this golden age of curse techniques, as he stated, will be of intrigue to Sukuna. But like I said, you never know what Sukuna can do, and making a deal with Sukuna is like making the deal with the devil. Let's give you an example. With even his whole thing with Yuji. Yuji tried to use him and to make him kill the finger bearer and then switch back with him, but Yuji couldn't switch back in time, and that caused Yuji to die first, with him ripping out his heart and him dying. Yuji then again tried to make a deal with Sukuna by trying to say, if I win you will do what I want and revive me back, but obviously Sukuna now has managed to make his in-chain deal that we're still trying to see that will come to pass in the future, and he managed to then get the same requirements in terms of his binding vow, where he has 1 minute to do whatever it is, which we assume would be the period in which he can potentially get his body back. Now to take it to a step further, we have him showcase his that in Shibuya. Geto's lackeys trying to go up to Sukuna and say, hey, we have your rest of your fingers, go save Geto's body, and then he slashed them with Cleave or Dismantle, I don't remember which one, and gave them a nice little trim in which they were obviously dead. Everybody who's tried to make a deal with Sukuna has done something and it hasn't gone well. Another good example of that is my favorite Sukuna victim, Jogo. Jogo went to Shibuya, gave him 10 fingers for him to eat, And then he said to him, listen, can you make a binding vow to do this and kill everybody in Shibuya? And Sukuna said, no, I will do what I want to do, but to thank you for the fingers. If you hit me one time, I would then agree to your terms. And well, we saw how that went for Jogo, and he did not hit him one time. But it alludes to us that making a deal with Sukuna is always going to put you in a bad situation. He's a person who does not care about other people. And the only person we can currently see that he has interest in is Urame and Megumi. So there's things in play to see with his plotline with Megumi. There's things in place to see what his eventual plan is and preparations that he told Jogo and Urame in terms of what he wants to do. But these can all coincide together. And especially as Kenjaku, who seems to be the big boss currently, it feels as if, in my honest opinion, Sukuna is going to be Endgame and the only current person who can stop Kenjaku. The reason I say this is because we still haven't seen Gojo, and I do believe the plot lines with Gojo kind of coincides with him seeing his students again and seeing what has happened, or potentially fighting with somebody such as Sukuna. And if you want my honest opinion, I'm team Sukuna, even though it's extreme death, you can go either way, whoever you think will win. But to take it a step further, Sukuna, in my opinion, just has more purpose being endgame villain. And being someone who's in tandem with Yuji, it seems as if their fates are going to collide even more, with Yuji taking blame of what is happening with Sukuna as his driving force to continuously be a jujutsu sorcerer. So just in my opinion, the only person who can stop Kenjaku is Sukuna. Because he has the strength, he has the ideals, he has the mentality to disregard everybody but himself. So if it becomes in his interest that he has learned that important information that Kenjaku has potentially double-crossed him and made a vessel to then suppress him, what do you think Sukuna will do? I think it's pretty standard, and I think he will be the person he then tries to get a revenge on. And it can still nicely tie in with Kenjaku winning and getting his desired goal of him getting chaos that he cannot control. To take it to a step further, Kenjaku said that Yuji and Sukuna are the eye of the storm for curses and are important to his new era, where they will continuously keep that cycle of curses going on. It seems as if not only that, he has used Sukuna as potential bait for leverage to make him as this big chaos in case they need it at any time. But with big chaos there comes huge contradictions, and those huge contradictions can easily align with somebody such as Kenjaku. And out of the real cards that we see right now, I don't see Kenjaku losing to anybody that isn't Sukuna. And this is not even about a state of strength. It's just in terms of who can we honestly say, unless he gets jumped by multiple jujutsu sorcerers, can take down Kenjaku, especially if he achieves his merger goal plan. And taking that to a step further, the only person with the real mentality that we've currently seen, bar my boy Megumi, to really take and disregard everybody is Sukuna himself. So in my opinion, their fate seems very likely to clash, and I'm very, very confident that the person who will actually be the downfall for Kenjaku will be Sukuna himself, and it will be a legendary performance that eclipses whatever greatness he did back in Shibuya. But thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think. Do you think Kenjaku's downfall will be Sukuna himself? Or do you believe that Kenjaku will be able to survive and that they potentially have a relationship together? Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and thank you guys for watching.